Hey, everybody, welcome to DBS Films Podcast. My name is Kellen. With me, as always, is my brother Brendan, and together we make movies with DBS Films. In today's episode, we are talking about how we just completed filming our 13th feature horror film titled right now, The Roger Files. So we're going to go in detail in a two-part episode. We're going to do a little bit of a breakdown, not really too in detail, just because we are still recuperating from the shoot. And we just wanted to basically give you guys our initial thoughts on the set, what it was like, what it means to make number 13, and just how it went. Now, be sure to go ahead and take a look at our Discord channel online, because that is the place to find us, as the place to interact with us, because we make movies for our fans with our fans. So if you want to be part of the process, if you want to be like the people who were on set with us for this movie, all you got to do, go ahead and join that Discord channel. So Brendan, lucky number 13. I think this was one where we kind of talked about it a few weeks ago, what we were looking at when we were going into this process. And we were really, really confident. We were really comfortable. I think it comes from, one, the found footage success that we had with Into the Forest 2, with also the idea of this script being very solid and something that we've done before. So what was kind of your overall feelings of the set?
I feel really good. I knew coming into it that this was going to kind of be a unique opportunity. And, the movie kind of scaled up very quickly. It went from a one-person project, which was with Ben in the woods, and it kind of grew into this, giant, massive, kind of crazy movie where we have zombies, we have, found footage Inception, where we're watching found footage in a found footage movie. Is kind of this weird fever dream. I kind of describe it maybe like Fear and Loathing in a forest that's actually haunted. We have a lot of cool sequences that we captured. We had a lot of Discord members in this movie. So this production was actually kind of sneaky big. And I'd honestly rank it probably the second hardest shoot that we've had behind the Shapeshifter. It was just mentally and physically difficult. But that being said, we got it done. We have one small scene to pick up, but for the most part, it was a very smooth shoot. And, it's just a credit to the team. It's a credit to everyone, on set. It's a credit to the actors who put in a lot of pre-production. And honestly, it's a real credit to Dylan, who is really the MVP of this entire shoot. He made sure the production was extremely smooth, and we got everything that we needed to make a successful movie. So I'm really excited to start to edit this thing and see where we are, what we need to kind of pick up, if there's any missing pieces. But this movie had a lot of proof of concepts for us. Zombies, different sequences. The first 30 minutes is murder mystery. We want to see how well audiences engage with this project. But I think this one's going to be really cool, because I don't think there's a time where it's slow or it slows down. It kind of just, once we kind of explain the lore of this movie, it's just full on 0 to 100 extremely quick, with just all kinds of crazy stuff happening. So I'm really excited to, get started on this one. Obviously, we have to finish Into the Forest 2 first, but I couldn't have asked for a better shoot. I think I have everything that I need to make a really cool movie. So it's just up to us to put in the work and get this thing released.
Yeah, I mean, it really was the case where it did grow bigger and bigger and bigger, as you were saying. I mean, I remember when we were first discussing it, it was basically like, hey, I think I could just get Roger out here. We'll get Ben and we'll do one thing and then we'll be done. And next thing you know, we literally have multiple plot lines essentially converging through found footage. And, as you mentioned, Dylan did a fantastic job, because one thing that I was kind of mentioning from the very beginning is this movie is almost kind of like a stew of different scenes that you put together, because it is jumping around a lot. It is going from one place to the other. As you mentioned, Roger's finding basically other found footage within the found footage Inception. So there's just a lot of dynamics that were going on. And especially reading it, you can kind of see like, whoa, this is, out there. But I think one thing that was a little bit different with this one is we really had a lot in our back pocket, from the idea of utilizing a location that we had easy access to, and utilizing a lot of main characters that were close by, worst comes to worst. And I think it was more ambitious of a project, because we were able to say, well, if anything goes wrong, we can definitely, pick it up, or figure out how to do it later. Do you think that played in a factor in kind of us actually moving forward with this concept? Because I mean, I think if we were location bound like before, or if we were, bringing actors that were far locations that would be very costly to bring them back in, it would have been a lot more stressful because I feel like as we were making our way through the shoot, we're just kind of like, yeah, well, if we don't get anything, we'll be good.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised that we got this movie done. Not that I wasn't going to aim for that. That was my goal, was to complete the movie. As we've talked about in depth before, pickups really kind of slow down the process. But my whole thing was, all right, let's just get as much as we possibly can and then pick up things later. Because shooting an entire movie in 6 days is extremely difficult, especially when you're shooting at an all night movie. There was no real day stuff in this movie. We just don't have a lot of time. And so it was kind of surprising that we finished and got all the stuff done. I just was not expecting that. So it's a testament, once again, to the production team. It's a testament to the actors. We were running and gunning all the way through, especially on the last night. But having all the footage allows me to go through it and really kind of see where we need to do pickups or smooth out the transitions. It's kind of a different movie, as in all the beats and action are there. I have all the stuff that we need. And I think the pop scares and the heavy sequences, the most important beats in the movie are there. How we get to those beats is a little bit tricky. And this is kind of like a found footage thing where you don't have the luxury of having transitions that you really do in cinematic movies. But the good news is, like, all that takes is me running through the forest with a camera and just trying to line up the cuts. But I'm interested to see how the movie flows. For whatever reason, I don't have a good idea in my head of how it is. It's almost like I have I have 50 pop scares and I have all these crazy zombie scenes and these heavy emotional beats and all of the scenes that I need to make a successful movie, but I don't know actually how to get it to, flow properly. But that'll be a problem that we come to in editing. And I mean, I go back to, we fixed the Morgan Estate, made the Morgan Estate an absolutely fantastic movie. This doesn't concern me at all. If anything, like, having the beats is the most important part of making a movie, and we have that. So I'm actually looking forward to it. I think the production, the actual movie that I had in my head, this one was better. I was actually surprised at numerous points in this movie, especially with the zombie, especially with Tatum and Ben's finale. There's a lot of really cool beats in this movie. And shout out to Aries, who also had a really good ending on this movie when he came in. I don't want to spoil it, but I think everyone did a really good job. And I think now you're starting to see our experience kind of, lead the production and, just make us better filmmakers.
I mean, it really is the case where one of the biggest issues I think we find is like, we talk about this before, but because movie making such a slow process, the experience that you gain is like really not represented well by like the movies that you actually get released. I mean, like right now we have Forest of Death coming out, which is by far our best one compared to Murder House. But I mean, again, just seeing what we were doing with this one is such a big step up with a lot of the different scares and whatnot. I think, as you mentioned, it's going to be interesting to see how this whole thing puts together. I was saying this, like, we were kind of at this position where we have Into the Forest 2. After a certain point, it kind of just turns into pure action, and we're like working on putting that together. I was basically like, well, this one feels like just from the very beginning, besides essentially the first opening monologue, we're kind of all over that. But again, you have all the ingredients to make a very good movie. So let's kind of hop in a little bit more of the detail of how the shooting went down. We'll probably end up doing a more specific day-by-day breakdown. I would say we still kind of have like filmmaker brain right now, where we're just recuperating. I mean, we wrapped at 5 a.m. today, so we'll give it kind of an overview. If I do forget anyone or anything like that, I completely, please forgive me. We'll be sure to give everyone the shout out and the due credits. But I mean, I think really, before we hop into it, I think one thing I do want to mention is what I'm really excited about is every single time that we make a movie where we really lean into the Discord and lean into the people that we've found through this process, the better it ends up becoming. I mean, shout out to Michael Ryuki in the very beginning. Tatum found us on the Discord. She was doing special effects. She was Kaylee. You have Alessia coming back, being an amazing zombie, helping out with special effects. You have Kaylee, who did an absolutely amazing role as Anne. You have Ray, who's Sinner Stone, who did an absolutely fantastic job as Dimitri. You have Brent coming back. You have Joe coming back. You have again Brad, so we got Stu coming back too. Just a fantastic crew of people who've either worked with DBS or know of DBS from the Discord community. And I just felt like this was one of those sets where everyone was so eager to go the extra mile. I mean, Irish was absolutely fantastic. Just the willingness to be part of the process. I think the ability of having this community and the passion that people bring forward really shined through in this production.
Yeah, 100%. And I definitely think that having the right people on set as far as morale goes is extremely important. One person having a bad time and kind of, can spread like poison throughout the set. We're in the woods. It sucks. Yeah, I understand. It's just not a good scenario. It's hot. We're working 14-hour days. Just to go to the car and back is just very difficult. So if you have one actor in there that's just kind of like a Debbie Downer, it could quickly, shift set morale very, in the wrong direction. And I think this one was almost the opposite. Like everyone was so happy and excited to be here that it kind of pumped everybody else up. Just to give you an example, Stuart came back and was just a ball of energy, man. He was bouncing off the walls, and I think he kind of amped everybody up. And just having that, when I see an actor come back to the set and I'm excited to have them there, those are the actors I want to work with. And I feel like that was the same thing with every single, actor on this set. They wanted to put in a good performance. They were really nice to everybody else. They understood the situation was a little bit difficult, but they powered through it. And I think we got a really good product. So I think for a lot of indie filmmakers, it's a struggle to find actors. And then when you do find actors, they may not be used to the indie filmmaking side of things as far as, how difficult the sets are and how long the hours are and, how quickly you can move. It's very mentally and physically draining. So I think a lot of actors, they're like, this is indie set. Well, I'll just phone it. I'll get my check and I'll leave. And you really can't have that. And I think we went above and beyond to really vet all the actors on this set. And I think the synergy between everyone working together, having a good time, really showed in, the final product, but also making the production easy. It's not we're shooting a full movie in 6 days in the middle of nowhere in these woods. And especially on the last day when it dropped to like 50 degrees, which is basically below zero in Florida terms. It's just, I'm just very thankful that we had the cast and crew that we did for this one.
It really, really just is a testament to, again, why we want to continue to foster this amazing group and why we continue to bring people back that are amazing on set. I mean, I think that was another thing where, like, after working with everyone on set, the first thing we're saying is like, all right, well, we got to get them back just because of how amazing it was. So let's hop into kind of a process of it in the sense of just a general overview. I think the first place we got to start is the person who's probably going to be listening to this thing as soon as it comes out, and that is Ben. And Ben was really the catalyst of the idea for this project because of what he did in Forest of Death with Roger. So you will see Forest of Death coming out soon. You'll see Roger, which is kind of spun out to this own character there. But I think, we were really confident from the results that we were getting from showing people the Forest of Death, how we felt about it. I feel like we knew Roger was going to be a hit when we started seeing it at first, but that was then completely confirmed by showing it to our super fans, which again is the benefit of having a community to basically say, hey, what do you guys think of this? And we're able to lean heavy into his performance. And I think this is really the case where, it's difficult to act, and it's difficult to, especially with the horror movies, the scripts and everything that we're providing, but it was able for Ben to really kind of take onus of this character and really push it forward. And I think it's going to add a very unique feel to this movie, because we have, for the first time, I would say, a really in-depth character. If you look at the other characters that we have, realistically the main characters are just someone who's supposed to be like a body you can temporarily occupy to find yourself in the situation. They don't really go into detail. There's not really depth to it, but Ben and the character and the work that we've done in this one really kind of shines through, in my opinion, to a new level of a DBS character.
Yeah, totally. I totally think that's true. And I wasn't worried at Ben or with Ben at all, just because he's done so much pre-production. You know, I first approached Ben with this project maybe 4 months ago. So it's almost like a 4 month pre-production that we've been working in. And I was not worried at all with him. Really, our connection on set was just me basically asking Dylan to, read the script or the scene out loud so I could mentally take note of the beats that Ben had to hit. Because Ben is an improv actor and he kind of goes and does whatever, he's feeling at the time. But I can't even remember a time where I was like, hey man, like you got to add these beats. You're missing these beats. He hit them every single time. So he knew that character. He knew the script. He knew what he wanted to do. And that helps me a lot because I have to carry that camera around. I'm worrying about production, to come in there and, not need a ton of direction to, just basically get going allows me to focus on other things or work with other actors that might just need a little bit more attention. And, he just came in and killed it. There was all the way through the movie is just really good. And when I first started, pitching this movie to actors. I said, look, this is a good script. It's a solid script. But I think we have the opportunity to make something really great here. But it's just like adding that depth to the characters, adding more layers to the onion. If we could pull that off, I think that's the next level for DBS Films. I think we know how to hit the beats. We know how to pace these movies properly. But like Kel was saying before, it's just adding the depth to these characters. And it's extremely difficult because we only have an hour and 20 minutes to really add all this depth. So it's not easy at all. And it's just a lot of subtext, a lot of body language stuff, just habits that the characters have. And I thought Ben did a good job of really, going really, really deep with the Roger character. And I think the audience is going to resonate with them. And this movie is going to be pretty brutal because he's going through the gauntlet of all this crazy stuff, all these different emotions that the Roger character expresses all the way throughout this movie. I'm pretty sure it's every single emotion in the book. And if you can get your characters to do that, then number one, that's a great hero's journey to put them on. And number two, you're going to get that character depth.
It really is the case where, being able to know from the beginning that the main character is this unique, interesting case, and it's just going to follow him throughout the process. It really allows him to, hop right into the story and the concept of it. So, right off the bat, I think we kind of leaned right into it. We had Roger basically getting a lot of the monologue stuffs done right away. I think this was something, to quickly touch on any kind of indie filmmaker out there. If you can have that character that, Ben essentially is, first take is good, second take is great, and it just kind of improves from there. But it allowed us to really knock out a big chunk of the movie in the first day. And then the second day, we were pretty sure we just did a little bit more monologues. But in like the first 2 days, I just remember filming scenes and being like, well, damn, that's 12 minutes. I think we got 12 minutes in the first day because these were very character driven monologues. And I think the issue with that is if your character is not unique, interesting, or anything like that, well, you're looking at the down part, you're looking at the slow dragging out part of it. But just seeing, Roger delivering those monologues, seeing how the story was already coming together just from these tales really kind of allowed us to, again, just rack up a lot of time when it came to how efficient we were in those first few days to knock out those big blocks and not even worry about them.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did shoot like 13 actual minutes on the first day, which is pretty unprecedented. In Hollywood, you usually shoot about 1 minute a day, if that. So I think that put us in a good spot for this movie. And the monologue stuff is super important. We have a very, very good hook on this movie, but then we have about 8 minutes of character development, of lore building that we just kind of wanted to get out the way very quickly. Because once that lore is gone and you're about 10 minutes into this movie, from 10 minutes on to, the hour and 20 runtime, it's pretty much all action all the time. So, for him to come in and be able to nail all those things within 3 or 4 takes, make them engaging, make them interesting, because if they're not engaging, if they're not interesting, if the audience does not care for Roger, then, people are going to turn it off. So I think he did a great job. I think the lore of the story is really, really well done. I think his character is very interesting. And, he's adding emotion. There's anger, there's sadness, there's fear all the way in all these monologues. And I think that that's going to be enough to keep the viewer engaged. And then once they get to the 10-minute mark, they're rewarded with almost maybe an hour of just pure action.
Yeah, having that done just really added up quickly in the sense of knocking out those first few days. So after that, we had our first real action scene, and this is now a DBS classic. So, guys, you are going to see another one of those murder house style knife to throat special effects. Huge shout out to our first Discord member for Michael, doing an absolutely fantastic job. He basically came out here, hopped right into an insane Charles, did fantastic. But more importantly, I always say, yes, the performance is very critical, but getting to that performance is very, very important too, because not only did Tatum do an absolutely fantastic job on the special effects and the makeup, but basically the way that the eye prosthetics work is Michael was blind for basically 4 hours in the middle of the woods, and not once did he have any kind of complaints. He was always super happy. He was always able to basically deliver those incredibly powerful performances. And really, we always say this, the intro is super important. You miss the intro, you basically miss the entire movie. So I was really, not worried about the intro scene in the sense that we knew it was going to work. But that being said, I don't think I really counted on how much, Michael was not only going to step up, but be just an absolute trooper about it.
Yeah, he was great, man. Shout out to him. Having your eyes, having this prosthetic on you for 4 to 5 hours is extremely difficult. And to do a very emotional scene multiple times. The hardest part of this movie, honestly, was this intro. It was just me. The blocking was difficult because we have the search and rescue guys going down one path. Then we had to hit the beats with Michael, and it was just a very difficult thing to do. And I think it was probably the only time where I was getting like a little bit frustrated or uneasy, just because on my end, I wanted to do it in a oneer, and it's just a very difficult shot to do. But shout out to him, man. He just stayed there. He stayed in character. The performance was great. Everything was great about it. I think he just, he stepped up to the plate, and, he delivered. The scene is absolutely phenomenal. And honestly, if we did not have a good intro on this movie, if you have a flat intro and then you hit the 8 minutes of monologue, people are going to turn this movie off, and we're never going to get any money out of it. So we really need this to hit. Hence, we gave it pretty much this entire day. And, from the footage that I've watched, I think it's going to be engaging. There's a little bit of lore in there. It's quick, it's easy, and, he did a great job. So shout out to him. If for whatever reason he wasn't able to get it done, I think this movie would have been in serious jeopardy of just being kind of boring. And I think he came in, did an exceptional job, especially for his first time working with us. So I'm really excited to put this scene together and just see, how much of a punch we can give the audience right off the bat.
I mean, that really is the case because, again, there was a lot that went into this scene to get to the point where he was just delivering the line. So, imagine standing there completely blind in the forest for essentially like an hour or so, waiting, and then when you do have your opportunity, being able to deliver that energy and whatnot. And again, huge shout out to Brent coming back, Masked Man #3. You've seen him in Murder House and now Girl Uncommon 13, Murder House. And now he is back. He's also in Into the Forest 2.0. And in this one, just because, again, we do love working with our past actors as well, just because, again, you prove yourself on set. And Michael, you proved yourself on set. So I'm sure we will have some bigger and better roles for you. And we'll be adding way more actors as well, too. So huge props to that. That intro scene was highly, highly critical in the sense of, as you mentioned, just kicking off the plot points and everything moving forward. I think from there, really the other big one, and I'm kind of wanted to save this for the next episode to hit into, is just the special effects of the zombies or whatnot. But before we really just kind of go into that, I think let's just talk about overall, Tatum again. We found her through the Discord channel doing the special effects. Kaylee came on to do the special effects, and then Alessia also helped out with the special effects as well too. And I mean, this was the first time I think I was really blown away by the special effects. I mean, Irish looked absolutely amazing. The eyes looked amazing. The throat slit. Alessia as Zombie Vin looked absolutely amazing. So being able to have this resource of people from this community that can step up and not only just perform the task, but literally improve the entire movie with the quality of it, is just really something I'm looking forward to. So, I think right from the beginning in the intro, having that quality of special effects, it's the subconscious viewing of this movie that, you see those types of special effects, and it's almost your way to kind of swing above your weight level, because people will look at that and be like, dang, this must be like a Hollywood film. I'm sure they have like a full department back there or something like that.
Yeah, the intro is critical because you don't want to, number one, miss on the intro, and number one, you don't want to like show your cards as far as like what your budget is. And I think we had the special effects of a high budget movie in this film. The eyes look great. The throat slit looks really good. The zombies and the rest of the special effects that we did in this movie were really good. And I think it just comes down to we're getting better at like the little details. And I think that's how you once again make a really good movie. It's just that the devil's in the details. And before we were just too run and gun. We didn't have the right people. We didn't have the right attention. I mean, before, if your only focus is to get a movie completed, which it should be, you're gonna skimp out on a lot of things. You're gonna miss a lot of details. And now we're getting to the point where I'm confident that we get this movie done, so I can focus on the smaller things. And I think that's going to be the difference between the product that we're putting out now versus the product we were putting out 4 years ago. And it's only going to get better as we get more comfortable with the special effects, as we get more comfortable with the production, as we get more comfortable with just our experience level. Everything is going to kind of click in place, and we're going to get very good very quickly. But it started with the special effects. It started with Tatum. It started with Kaylee, coming in here and doing such a phenomenal job. I couldn't have been happier because I was on set with Ben working when, I wasn't watching the special effects stuff. I gave them full control and direction over what they were trying to do. We had, various dialogues of just making sure that the makeup and everything kind of fit the vision that I was going for. But I didn't know what they were going to look like. They could have came on set and I would have been like, ooh, maybe this wasn't good, but they came on set and it was absolutely phenomenal. I was like, this is going to work. And it worked really, really well. I think the zombie stuff was really great, and it's going to work, and we are going to make a zombie movie, and I am really excited. If there's one takeaway from this movie, it is that zombies work and they're creepy, and if you put them in the forest, it is just going to be a fun time.
So that's actually going to be the cliffhanger for us going into why exactly the zombies worked, how they worked, how awesome it was, and how we are very excited for this type of movie. Again, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this one. This is just going to be a little bit shorter episodes to give the general idea of how the shoot went. Overall, though, I would say, the first few days here, let's kind of take a pivot point, because right now we're kind of leading into the zombie day. So I think really at this point, we were feeling good. We had the intro finally. I will say we did the second day. This will kind of be the second last caveat here. We did push a lot of things back the first day. And I remember looking at all of those things. But I think the one thing I want to end on is we did have today as another shoot in case we needed to do any more pickups for today. And Brendan, did we do any filming today?
We did not.
So that means we were able to get this schedule done. And we always say this to filmmakers out there: if you guys can hit your schedule, if you can do it, you are a rare creature, because the only thing we end up hearing about in a lot of the different indie film podcasts and things like that is overtime, pickups, and all of these things. So huge testament again to the entire crew for not only being able to work in these conditions, but to deliver an absolutely fantastic performance and allow us to wrap without being out in the woods one more time, because I feel like you can hear by us already right now, we're a bit exhausted, so we really appreciate you. It was nice being able to sleep in today and not find myself out in that forest. So that's going to wrap up part one. Again, we're going to hop into the second part in the next episode. Got to give you guys a brief overview of where we're at with our 13th horror movie. Be sure to take a look at our Discord online, because that is the place to be if you want to work with us and be in these movies. Till then, have a good one.